Hello viewers, very warm good evening from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. You're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station. And we are broadcasting live from our studios here on Kairaba Avenue. My name is Ali Osise, and we are back again for the countdown to the 28th May mayoral and area council chairmanship elections here in the Gambia. As usual, I'm joined on the program by my co-host, Ansumana Esonyasi. So good to have you in the program.
Thank you. Good evening, Ali.
Thank you very much, Ansumana Esonyasi. Just a quick update regarding, the death of the Gambia's High Commissioner to Sierra Leone, Aluke Jame. A quick update is that the body has finally arrived in the country, and burial will take place tomorrow at his home village of Iliasa in Badibu at 2 p.m. Alu Jame was the Gambia's High Commissioner in Sierra Leone, also overseeing Liberia and Cote d'Ivoire. He was a former ambassador to Guinea-Bissau, and then had also served as Minister of Youth and Sports. He's been celebrated, like I said yesterday, by many for his service to the nation. Personally, he was a friend, a brother, a mentor, a confidant. His death is being described as a great loss to the country. And once again, on behalf of the chairman of the Q Group, management and staff of the companies of Q Group, and of course Q Sierra Leone, we once again extend our condolences to the president, his government, and the Jame family on the demise of Aluke Jame. Great loss for the country once again. The body has arrived in the country, and then burial will take place tomorrow in Badibu Iliasa at 2 p.m. That's just a quick update regarding the death of Aluke Jame. And today our guest is Dr. Ismael Cisse, who is the leader of CA. Here representing Mr. Sidi Cisse, who is contesting under the National People's Party for the chairmanship of Brikama Area Council. As you know, all the candidates are busy, and I'm sure Sidi will have loved to be here, but equally it's good. It's exactly, but it's good we have Dr. Ismael Cisse, who is also part of the NPP-led alliance as far as this all-important mayoral and area council chairmanship election is concerned. Doctor, good to have you on the countdown.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you, SO, as well. Thank you.
Yes, I will just start by, your candidate should have been here, but he decided to delegate you to represent him.
Ran away.
Why is he, city of all people, ran away from our platform?
No, he did not. He did not. You see, the people of West Coast are longing to see CD.
All right.
The people of West Coast are yearning to see CD. CD would have loved to be here himself, but he could not because the people don't want him to leave West Coast. They are waiting for him. As we speak right now, if you go to Sifo, if you go to Gunjur, if you go to Tanje, which the places he'll be having meetings today, people have been waiting since 12 noon today, waiting to see CD. Large crowds standing there waiting to see CD. So he could not leave those crowds waiting for him to come to QTV, even though it would have been ideal and good for him to come. But nonetheless, the way we work in the alliance is that we work as a team. This is not about CD as an individual. This is a political project we have, and part of this project, everybody plays a role there. CD is out there canvassing for votes. Somebody within the coalition who understands the issues, who will work together with CD when he gets to office, can come and speak on behalf of CD, speak on behalf of the coalition.
And you talk about how people are keen, they are excited to receive a CD Cisse. Why? What is so special about CD that people will wait for him from noon to now? Because
CD is seen as their savior. West Coast have been longing for that leadership, that visionary, transformational leadership, to move the region from its current predicament and status to a more progressive, a more viable, a more urbanized region. And CD has come to offer that leadership through his speeches, through his actions, but also through his track record. And the people of West Coast are not sleeping. They know what is good for them. Therefore, they know this is the man who has what it takes to change the dynamics, to change the future of our region. So therefore, they love him and they want to, they are in a hurry for the 20th to arrive so they can just push him to as the chairman so he can start his work.
Talking about track record, what is CD's track record?
Now, CD, apart from, I'll start with when he was in the diaspora. CD did a lot of community work in the diaspora when he was in the UK, to the extent that he was in fact drafted by the council while he was living to work with the council. with projects in community policing. He was an entrepreneur while he was in the UK as well. And then after many years, like I always say, we Gambians, we go to the diaspora, we go to look for greener pastures. We migrate for two main reasons. Whatever these two reasons are, whatever we get from them, we have to come back home. It's either you go for knowledge, you go educate yourself, or you go and look for capital and come and invest it in. Whatever whichever you get, you have to come back and invest. CD went and sought knowledge. He educated himself, but also worked to get the capital to come and invest in the Gambia, and started a company from ground zero to today, a very, very powerful, one of the biggest security companies offering security service and solutions to the Gambian people. To the extent that when he was also working, building his company into an empire, into a national empire, CD was also engaged in community work. He was having a program called Kachadula, enlightening the people. There's no better way to educate and enlighten the citizenry than through media. And he was doing that. And when he was doing that work, he wasn't doing political work. He was looking at issues that were affecting people, issues like water, sanitation, traffic accidents, and so on and so forth, bringing them to light, advocating for reforms and legislation to change these things to better the lives of the Gambians. Apart from that, CD was also working with the police. He introduced a project called community policing in the Gambia, working with the police, using his own resources to make sure that communities are safe, both in the West Coast region, came, and also in Banjul, at a time when crime rates were going up. So CD has done a lot in terms of building a company from ground zero, transforming it into one of the biggest and most successful security companies in the Gambia, providing security services and solutions to Gambian people, Gambian entrepreneurs, Gambian corporations, but also the Gambian state. In addition, also, he did a lot of community work through media, but also through engagements that were impactful in this country.
West Coast region, Brikama, 9 candidates. What are the most pressing issues right now in Brikama area council? Because when I say Brikama, I mean West Coast, that you think people really need a change, they need that leadership who will bring about that change?
You have to understand the dynamics of West Coast region and its social ecosystem. Now, West Coast region itself has two different challenges, two different realities, with people living there with two different aspirations, because it is divided into an urban, a peri-urban setting, and a very rural setting. Now the Fonyi Kansala, Fonyi Bondali, and the Fonyi Jaros, the Fonyis, and the Combo East, and some parts of the Combo, Brikama North, Brikama South, are mostly a bit rural. Some parts of Brikama South, you come to Combo South, Sanementering, these ones are mostly peri-urban. So these are different challenges, these are different realities, in fact, different demographics. So therefore, anybody who wants to do a successful job, and that which CD is, and CD is aware of these dynamics, and CD has solutions to these problems. The problems of the people of Fonyi and Combo East are very different from the problems of the people of Sikirsering and Brusubi, and they all are within West Coast region. So if, for example, what you want to bring in Combo East, for example, in Fonyi, water is key. Water is a problem there, clean running water, and therefore there the priority should be water. If you come to the peri-urban like in Brikama, mostly the roads, infrastructure is a problem. And CD is aware of all these dynamics, and we have plans and solutions to be able to deal with these problems when he gets to office.
Yes, sir?
Yeah, I was going to ask about your candidate's understanding of the region's profile, but you've addressed that, the socioeconomic characteristics of the region. You mentioned plans. It's one thing to have plans, but it's another to really have this implementation framework, a concrete one for that matter. Does your candidate really have a workable implementation framework?
Of course, the strategic documents are all done already. I mean, the only thing that is between CD and his team and getting to work and let people see the impact is on the 20th of May. Once he is elected, we get to work. Everything is set. The way we'll approach our development priorities, what we need to do. See, two things are needed here. You need the resources. You need the human resource capacity, and CD will have both. CD has a very strong team, a very strong strategic team that will help him implement this project. Without the resources, you cannot do it. But even if you have the resources, but not having the right people, the right team, the right brains, you still cannot do it. And he has both. He's lucky to have both, in the sense that West Coast region is one of the fastest growing regions. with a population of almost 700,000 people from the last census. And believe me, if you do a census again this year, you'll see about 10 or 15% increment in that. Not only that, from the last census, we had 45,000 households in the West Coast region. That might increase to almost 50 or 60,000 households. So the potentials are huge for West Coast region. The resource mobilization potentials are huge for West Coast region. And with that opportunity, with those potentials, and with the right team and the right support from government, of course, I think CD will be able to transform that region very quickly.
You talk about the people of the region needs change. How do you know?
Because I live in West Coast region. We also did research, data, empirical data has really demonstrated that if you look at Afrobarometer findings, but also other research, people are yearning for a change in their livelihoods, in the way they live their life. People want water, they want clean water, they want electricity. Young people want jobs, people want their environment to be clean, their neighborhoods to be clean. Young people they want sports development, they need football fields, people need recreation parks, people need to have places where they can go and develop their talents. We need community centers. All these are lacking in West Coast region. We need good roads, especially if you go to some place in Brikama around Jeddah, Misira, you go to Gunjur, from the main road to the beach, you go to Sanyamiro to the beach. Luckily, the president is going out there to the foundations to construct those roads. So therefore, these are things that are pressing for the people. Electricity also is a problem. And I think it's time for our councils to start thinking corporate, to start being investors, to start partnering with investment firms. I see no reason, and CD, I've discussed this with CD, to the extent that with time, these boreholes we are building, for me, these are short-term solutions. We want to also make sure that in the long term, West Coast is self-sustainable energy-wise. Why can't West Coast have their own power grid, where in fact we produce so much green energy in West Coast region that can serve the people of West Coast and sell the surplus to the national grid and make money from that. The opportunities are huge. We could create nursery schools that, we have single mothers, single parents who want to leave their kids in a safe environment to go to work. We need to build those things. The council makes money for this job of a council. We need to build clean new markets that are more organized, whereby if you go to the market where they sell meat, is meat section, the fish section, vegetables. So that, but now everything is confused. And we see this understanding of these things. We see the living in the West and being exposed to how development works. I think if it brings those ideas together with our support, we can transform West Coast region into a more modern, in fact, I wouldn't say a more ultra-modern area.
Okay, so to address some of these challenges you highlighted earlier, to actualize all these plans you highlighted, fanciful as they may be, you would need funding. And we know councils in the past couple of years, we've heard from almost all of them, even through Galga, they've complained about the lack of resources, about governments, government not respecting, the law, basically, not giving out the subventions as expected. Where would CD get the funds to implement all of these plans you highlighted?
Excellent question. I think it's unfair for Galga to say government is not responding in giving them the money. The law is very clear that invest or plow back 60% of your revenue and government will give you a subvention. If you don't do it, then you cannot get a subvention. Are you saying they're not doing it?
They've not been complying with that. See, compliance is a problem in this country. They have to comply and plow back. If they make 100 million from the people, plow back 60 million back to the communities, and government. And if once you're able to prove that to government will give you a 25% subvention.
But isn't it government's responsibility to communicate as well to the public?
They've done that.
They're not doing that.
Of course,
no, they haven't, because
that's how I knew it.
For the past 3 years,
how I knew it.
Maybe you have insider information. But for the past 3 years, we've heard from Galga, the president. We've heard from Mayor Lowe. We've heard from Talib. Even the Brikama Area Council chairman, they complained about these things, not receiving subventions as expected.
Yeah, but subventions are based on conditions, and those conditions, if they're not met, there'll be no subvention. But that's another story. But what's important is that you talk about resources. West Coast region has a huge potential to generate revenue. And if you look at the figures, it is telling. In 2018, West Coast region made almost $68 million. I mean, that's paltry, that's nothing compared to the opportunities and the potentials of West Coast region. When the current chairman, the outgoing chairman, Mr. Shirifo Sonko came to power, he digitized the revenue collection, but also the tax correction rate systems. And the money moved away from 68 million to 96 million after 1 year.
The following year, they made $111 million. Even with all the challenges, whereby rates are not paid on time, at best, at worst, rates are not paid. Now, councils have to think innovative. Like I said, we should think corporate now. We should run councils as a business. Because councils are supposed to do two things. They are supposed to generate revenue and give services to the people. Services that are clean, cheap, but also sustainable. So therefore, I think it's time with SEED, with Team SEED, what we are working on is that the first thing we'll do is to diversify revenue generation. We cannot be depending on rates, and taxes. We need to go beyond that. Like I said, councils can make investments. They can invest in horticulture, they can invest in agriculture. Today, the potentials of council making money in parking fines in West Coast and KM is huge. The potentials in what they call, how do you call it again, anti-litter laws, people violating them is huge. When you throw your bin carelessly, when you fly tip, we fine you. When you park wrongly, we have to get parking. So we need to organize the council so that government can make revenue from this, but also investment. Like I said, government can partner with powerful energy companies to make sure we have our own power, green energy power that we can also sell. We can have enough for West Coast, but also sell to government, sell to the national grid. But as well also, like I said, you can build nursery schools where people can take their kids and make money from them. So it's about thinking out of the box. It's about being innovative in terms of energy revenue generation. And I think the potentials are huge. If the council can shift revenue from 68 million to 111 million in 2-3 years, I think if we do more, they can make a lot of money. With the support also from government, that is, if council being compliant and also meeting the conditions laid by government, with support from government, we can do a lot.
You seem to be relying more on government to achieve most of these things.
Well, council cannot work in isolation from government.
I understand.
So I'm not saying that everything has to be done by government, like I said, with support from government, because obviously government, a council is an arm, it's an extension of government. Government cannot do everything. They delegate, they devolve certain activities, certain services, especially social services to councils. Government support is needed. And if I say government support, it doesn't have to be money. It can be legislative support, it can be policy support, it can be technical support. What is important is that anybody who wants to run a successful council or municipality needs to think differently, needs to think innovatively, needs to think out of the box, needs to diversify energy revenue generation, and make sure that they come up with solutions that can generate energy for the council.
You mentioned
they can even invest in housing, for example.
You mentioned the increment in terms of revenue generation by the Siripo, the outgoing chairman, Siripo Sonko's leadership. Yeah. I mean, on what did they spend this money on, bearing in mind all the issues and problems in the West Coast region?
Well, one of the things Siripo Sonko did was that he invested in trucks, compactor trucks for waste collection. When he came to power, there were only 2 trucks and 2 tractors. When he came to power, when he came to the council, he bought 8 compactor trucks that go around collecting bins from people's homes. But also he did some facelifting. If you go to Brikama today, you know where the box by the football field is? Yeah. He slapped, they made the pavements there up to the market, all the way towards the hospital, all the way towards the area council, towards the Newtown Road. But also, if you look at the Jambarsane Road, I think they are constructing for $9 million as well. So they've done a lot of work. They've built some new boreholes for communities in Fonyi, but repaired also damaged boreholes for communities in Fonyi. So Siripo Sonko has really invested a lot of these resources back there. But also remember, the council itself is takes a chunk in terms of its operational costs, a chunk of the budget, in terms of salaries, in terms of electricity, in terms of utilities, in terms of logistics. These councils are expensive to run, especially councils in Ghana that are over-bloated, overstaffed. They're expensive to run. So in most cases, most of this money doesn't go to development per se, but it goes to sustaining the councils themselves.
Waste management is an issue. I mean, West Coast region is big. 8 trucks is not even enough for Brikama, talk less of the whole region. What will a citizen-led council do about its waste management? Yeah.
It's number 2
from
priority.
In
fact, it's number 2 priority. We are going to increase. The capacity for waste collection. But not only waste collection, we're also going to make sure that we create waste management systems where waste is sorted and recycled. And you can even make money from that. I mean, we have to deal with the waste. But also, waste is a huge source of energy. And we are talking to city to see, in fact, whether we can even create biogas systems in West Coast region for energy generation. Because waste can be used to generate energy through biogas plants. So we'll see these things and see whether, because in fact, when you collect this waste, you make money from it. Waste is money, waste is cash. So waste is not only waste. You can transform waste into money. Imagine collecting all this waste, transforming into energy, selling this energy. It brings money. And CD knows this. In fact, this is number two of its priority waste collection. When we come to power, we are going to make sure that we embark on revenue mobilization to make sure that we increase the trucks. But also, one thing we also plan to do is to make sure that we create systems in West Coast region, so that, because currently if you want to really develop a region like West Coast region, you must have a kind of what they call population database. You must have a system where every household, every citizen is in a system. You know where they are, where you can find them. Every street is in the system, because otherwise everything is confused. And we are working with CD to make sure that we engage technicians to build a population database where every household, we map the entire West Coast region. We know where the streets are. We categorize them into A, B, C. A is top priority, B is priority, and C is non-priority in terms of road constructions, so that we don't just do it randomly and impulsively. Okay, this guy needs to go and be. No, we need to map the entire West Coast region. Which roads are top priority? Which roads are second? Which roads are third priority? In terms of also helping us with waste collection, we need to know where the roads are, where the streets are, where the households are. We also need to know how many tons of waste do we collect every year. We need to know that. This is data is important. How many tons do we collect every year? Is this enough for the biogas plant? Because if we go look for investors to come and invest in biogas plant, they have to ask us, is there enough waste that is worthy for a biogas plant? So we need to know how many tons, but also we need to build recycling centers whereby all this waste that goes to there, clinical waste goes this way, household waste goes this way, so that everything is sorted. Those that are to be recycled are recycled, and those that are to be used for energy generation are used, and then we see how it goes.
Doc, how do you react to those who said, I mean, the split within the NPP? Ahmed Jite has huge following, contesting as an independent candidate. Yankuba Dabo there, United Democratic Party, with huge support base in West Coast region. I mean, independent, not alliance. I mean, Ibrahim J. Sane. Some are saying this will definitely drop NPP's chance of winning West Coast. Do you agree?
Well, I don't agree with that. I think all of the major contestants face the same scenario. One could also argue that J.S. Sane of the North Alliance will take from UDP votes. It's from Brikama, with roots in Gunjur. And then I think many people in Brikama will vote for him. And you know, UDP has a very strong following in Brikama and in Gunjur as well. So yes, obviously, these are dynamics that are at play, but I don't think we should focus too much on these dynamics. I think the people of West Coast are yearning for transformational and visionary leadership. I think they'll vote based on the merits of the candidates and not anything else. And I think CDC has proven that he is the best candidate for this job, the most competent, in fact, with the track record and the leadership and the transformational qualities to change the fortunes of West Coast region within a very short time. I think the people of West Coast region have suffered for far too long looking for that leadership. I think if it comes in a silver platter, they'll be happy to take it.
Sure. Well, viewers, I mean, you're watching QTV, the Gambia's first private TV station, and this show, countdown to the mayor and area council chairmanship elections. Our guest today is Dr. Ismael Asise, leader of the CA party, which is part of the NPP-led alliance ahead of this election, and he is here representing CDCC, I mean, who is contesting on the National People's Party in the West Coast region. Like I said, I mean, in this upcoming election, we have 30 candidates across the country. I mean, just to give you a quick rundown and updates as to who these candidates are. We'll start in Banjul, where we have Ibu Faye, National People's Party, Rohim Malik Low, United Democratic Party, who is the incumbent. And in KMC, we have Talib Ahmed Bensouda, incumbent on the UDP, Bakari Waibaji, National People's Party, and Pa Modumbo, independent candidate. In Brikama, we have Yankuba Dabo, United Democratic Party, Sidi Sise, a National People's Party, Jaina Baba, one of the two women contesting in this election on the PPP, Yankuba Jallo, independent candidate, Ahmed Jite, independent candidate, Saliu Jallo, independent candidate, Ibrahim J.S. Sane, independent candidate, Baisi Saho, independent candidate, and Ahmadu Mukhtar Cham, independent candidate. In the Kerawan administrative area, that's become area council, Kerawan area council rather, we have Abdullah Jallo, GDC, Papa Tunkara, National People's Party, Malamin I.L. Bojang, UDP, who is also the incumbent in Kerawan area council, and of course Babu Kebe, independent candidate. And in Mansa Konko, we have Keba Dam, National People's Party, and Landing Bisane, United Democratic Party as the incumbent. And in Janjambure, we have Haruna Bari, GDC, Suleiman Sawane, National People's Party, Malik Sow, UDP, and Alaji A.S. Boy, independent candidate. In Kuntawur, we have Abdullah Keita, Gambia for All Party, Sehu Jawara, NPP, incumbent, and Alaji S.B. Silla, United Democratic Party. And in Basse, we have Muhammadu Sise, National People's Party, Fode Danjo, UDP, who is the incumbent, and Alaji Karamu Ture of PDYS. Doctor, we will now go into the local languages, Mandinka. I know you're much more comfortable with Mandinka. I mean, ngaje campaign bita kane Brikama, Jamaica ko Allah candidate munkada Sidi Siseti abe sira woni ga purga ke chairmanti area council. Campaign bita kan nyandile.
Ye min fo wolong na mbiro ngada city. Parata nyobori wala kwa MPP led coalition olong Sidi Sirif Siseti. Campaign bita ka nyamale West Coast School wala na bifa man nano jang. In fact, alafta kana bar West Coast School kabring Montoro wati talon tandem fula be loring iba batola sifo gunjur tanje pura eta yaje iba koronte ngakama nyirungol be kono be campaign la West Coast region tata dawoda mobo ko to so kono fo talan killing suto bol kasi di batu pur kaje odo naketa wonya ngaji ko soto ko campaign bi da ka nyamal ando ngaji ko soto ko West Coast School ibe la free mina wolon falende rote ila dinkirale faleng ila balonya e faleng fonding kelbe do ko nyinola ebe lafla fanang eka minka sports to afanang yirwa ay keje musol fanang lafta yirwa la lafta de maro la mimbe semento la gadi nolto si de nyim planol be sotole dula dinkira do je jobu ka sodoje ngo planol sotole anda nata dawoda akanye la hido le DJ ko na sita fengo fe mialon ko hada madi ngola nyantolong fengo fe mialon ko fanang kulo mialon ke la sula fengolong atebe kato dango kelale aje ko na sita West Coast Nkola namo e kaminjo anin ko fana na ferol amin fela na pour kaje ko corridor fana soto no ay kafunyo kan abajala ko ay West Coast Nkol ay yirwa fenanje ala silo da musola gadno da ay dema fo isanang isi fan na fala gadno do ay Marcel doku ye Marcel kutollo Marcel fana mialon ko e kototale itinyata le wol fana da isa kalamu ko for example Brikama kabrin tolbe do ari Marcel kiline benonje bayaji me folo molla balu nyale falenta kam population growth ni atara sanjitang koma mo million kiline be West Coast sanjitang nyato sañ mo jël betar la West Coast natara sanjitang koma moto tanna la ka bore West Coast sa moto jël ka bore West wo be ndanta ka jube ko mais sila du male la sañ mundin crasifal mbole lola mo marché sifal wo bebe sida plan ko wo drontende sidi fana lo ne ko sama mol binale amanta do ko kala kaje ko hani bi tronde bari sama bi comme nga fo ñam ñaata sanji tanko moto tan nan lebe West Coast bi moto keme sama moto jele betara moto keme fula ndolbe silo la pour moto keme fula ma Marcel deda nga musolo gadino deda nga do ko ñini funding ke le West Coast region je nga jiol fenanding kiral to taren ke saje mote fola jiola o mu kulti mi alon ko West Coast Nkol wala la sula fengoti ano sidata dawda akela moyle ka wala fay ando ning ala sonta ning carte fayta on the 20th sidibe gagnal ando na gagnata abe do ko tala a commencer
ya non docteur politicien mo jama ka fo yibugala politicien kar ñu election kana e ka kumol bele fo they will even promise a bridge where there is no river mo na mo nyanta kala alla ñu kumolo
tol bu kana si janka kumo fo bawo politico dron non and politician o a hammole soto a fero soto aka wole fo sa ni sita nyatere kemele promise ila sanji lulo yetan nane ke tallulo yakatale ba ndema politicien de folo mi alon ka sitale ay min promise am fenke zero mboko woje at least ika kukele ka kato kele wati do la boka sone ya fanan kulle kana mialon ko fana mialon ko ima nyilla ka be kalale for example dunia be kono president ngol mialon ko wolle be siring e campaign promise min beke 2018 2019 e mana jama ba kono monata na ba covid-19 natala wo in Ukraine nata kudol keta wo be kakele baren se kuma kilen fe wolonko sa un politico falentale and democracy falenta Gambia le politician nata e promise oke ima fulfill may balale another 5 years mote carte file moli olo ne sañ wala ne maja ni campagne bi ta ka nyame even the incumbents e be sirin si kilo le kan ko there is a highly likely could to it re-elect la because the main promise no electorate here de ma beje make woro moli olo ne si disi se olo ne ko atinare kumo fo atara angani ko no atije alone ko na woketa ate fam fongo next 5 years o alota mota carte fa ta jikita ko ate wolone andung ay fongo fem promise ndol nga fongo fem promise mbakelale ba ngalon ko sañ mol le tamoy fangolti nene ro banta Gambia den sañ yemu fo wolong i meta mol nene la le politician ol e kanale ya fo eta kute kala barin sa fo sañ o banta Gambia de sa mol ni la carte long ni na tay kumo fo ka lelale e jiko soteto e carte di la e 5 years o di la yemi fo ni ma kenen 5 years o sita ye bay banta wala fana be kala incumbent jamal ni kate fo min kana
yef en jama fo west management kambali to collect be kama ko me ko kumole no ka fo ha ere council bo kambali to collect I mean I told them under CDC ali mum plan de le pour kaje nyambali to ko asa address no because here west coast is big. It's from Kalaje coming down to Senegambia 8 trucks.
Yalong ngamin fo long ko
8 trucks
hani yalong fulale ina
wala mera west coast is just Brikama karja nyiko west coast mo kamera Brikama da man west coast
wala yalong west coast region is a very big region
what
wala na in fact ndeka argument ke ko wato sitale nga si na local governance structures ngari configure ko
comme ale men ke siara at least now siara we have jambori area council kuntaur area
yalong wo yake for political reasons le maybe perhaps it market for developmental reasons.
Maybe because of the size of the region.
No, but
Sierra too is big.
What is the divide? What are the criteria? You have to look at the developmental aspect of it. So near Sierra, you divide into two. You mean divide into two distinct regional areas. But financially, how viable are they? Financially. Mune falinta in terms of the energy revenue generation. Bine West Coast region ta ya divide into two. Iko kabo block, for example, for Kalaji, I can region of Amadi. The revenue generation potential mang siaje back. You are just creating another very poor region kotenke. Then yata kabo block kanasan kanafo kanaki kololi balajang who has more potential. Sibaya mile bina kolonko. If there will be no synchronization in terms of development. If a region killing all, but energy revenue sotola, it only you soto. The rest of the regions will let poverty because this dichotomy between rural and urban left by Gambia. Kafoko nintol be urban Gambia. Fengo baby jane lampo, Gio, Kurango, Lobitan, Kendall, Karambun, Kendall, Silol, ni further Kabo block kata. Ite Kurango jala, ite Gio jala, maleful la Gambia. Lafta Gambia well urbanized. Because mune kata ning sita wala nang ko we nanta ka sila nga urban plana sol fina. Nga singa na bangko jubeku. We look at so many factors, underlying factors in terms of potential to bring revenue. Demographics. Aning population size, aning everything obe jube ngana bankori configure ku million regional da e benyamenteng before western division long north bank the inata change to west coast, but it was at that time the challenges man killing no, realities man killing no, demographics man killing no, but aspirations fana wolon lafta minna sa man killing no sa kol falintale sa man kata da men nyanta kasi connect nga jubente fi municipalities or councils in Manaka Warabake, especially in countries like Gambia. It should be sizable because we're like efficient, we're like a doko can we're like a manage no. Be ninge take a become area council. Ambe wolla. Ninge take a become area council chairman. Then force Sanjilu Lebana. It a become upon a premo solo, Sureka Kanafu, wala Kanafu combo sound. What challenges? So bring no Siri when you problem or so. And it's on Bidding Fankanata, Siri for Sonkonata. I truck full letaraji. At least, I think 68 million ekawale raise revenue. 68 million man vendi. 68 million. Woman fengo. Woman mahani mbeda killing, killing.
What was responsible? What was responsible for that?
Before, because before CD4 Sonko came, the council that was there did not have a digitized system. Maybe there was a lot of leakage.
Leakages, okay.
A lot of leakage happen. Can we buy like tax rate, corruption, or leakage? But Biranata, 68 million I will revenue. Biranata digital system of a digital tax collection system. I raised for 94 million. Still, there were still some challenges because most of these digital systems, near start ka implement wrong, still abuka perfect. But the more bita karata 111 million, jikita ko niwo continue. They'll raise revenue. But just get a question or answer walonko. Nim fla benunji another 8 sang katale because at that time wole benunji ntonga lone ko woman si bare sa minyanda ke kolonko yalo development buka koronto ika sila ya plan dani ba implement la ni nata rek yemo chocho la rika ika mistake ko lek nanda kan tol lafta ka west coast bele map. How many household live west coast, for example? How many waste like a produce West Coast every month or every year? Still so we bring in a master plan, waste collection master plan mialonko. Not only trucks, but also bin so strategic locations mialonko multi binol 5G. In fact, lafta min fangalolonko ni tataka waste fango dump at iba fela dame, iba fenkela woleto, iba separate la woleto. Mi alon ko plastiko ni kabol long e wol fay jang mi alon ko kaytol ni fen ko le finata do mo fi wo fay saje ko nim mo la ka collect abe easy but also me motol fana fena mi alon ko le be do clean la suto nin to be sino la o motol be do ko la ira marcel clean la e main street sol clean la pour dinkirale senea ngami fana folon ko bade kolto because nim mo baluta foy fare kate jëlal ras resting place bini farana bade ko dolto e balo ka faale nyamol be siarinji amang am dinkiral man sene abake e boka topoto ntol ko be fondinkel employer ni fondi musol permanent etara bade ko to kaje ko bade ko le sene e juruwa e ya topoto e saje wolo na last resting place so kullo mi alon ko te mabab mi alon ko team siba plan kan bar comme ka fo nyame maybe a fo si diateng ka implement wolong problem moti bar ndenga jikoko CD advantage for ala soto wolon ko CD fero sotole mil fanam babala milia mening mille dala sitae ya fero sotole anon jikita ko nani wole do ko ke nga kodo nyin do ku fana nyanda ka do ko nyamen ngani fero mil belande nsa keno west coast region.
Just before Ismael comes in, doctor, I mean we've seen in the last parliamentary election it was a big blow for NPP. You won only one seat in the whole of West Coast region. It came to the local council elections, you didn't perform as expected. Don't you think, I mean, the people of West Coast are losing trust in NPP?
Not necessarily. If you look at the data, two things happened. With the parliamentary elections, I have to admit that the NPP, in their selection stage, this is where things went wrong. To the extent that, because it's a ruling party, every candidate wants to align yourself with the ruling party. So when they call for people to come and express interest to contest for the elections, there are a lot of people who express their interest. Now, if only one person can be selected or elected, if one person is elected or selected, the rest get disgruntled and they go and contest as independent candidates. Now, if you look at, all these independent candidates are originally from the MPP camp. Now, if you look at independent candidates in each of the constituencies, their total vote, number of popular votes, and you look at the NPP votes and you add them, it's always over what the opposition had. So the issue of the independence was not managed properly. It really was a problem. But also, the voter turnout, most Gambians did not come out to vote. So, and Gambia has three categories of voters. Those who vote in the left, and those who vote in the right, and those who are the great chunk, almost 50%, who are not affiliated with any political party. Now, these two, left and right, are affiliated to one or two groups. These are the ones who are affiliated with political parties. So imagine 50% of the voters vote either for a political party or either for one of the political parties. So all the political parties in the political theater share this 50% of the votes. The other 50% of the votes don't belong anywhere. Now, for most of them, for them, it's only the presidency that is important. And after that, as long as they've elected the president, they're good to go. So because they low voter turnout, That is why NPP lost most of the seats.
But Yamira Mankefanan, because maybe most of the big wigs in the party in Mantra Dokola. They are not going out on the field for a campaign, okay? Coming in Takela Yamin, Akamuda Dolby, they just enjoy riding on the NPP pickup tinted, and then you could talk in the name of campaigning. And then
exactly. Parliamentary and in councillor, because I wasn't that involved. But this one, I'm very much involved in the campaign. And in fact, for Suta Banto, all of them across the
is it
country.
because they have been shown the yellow card?
Well, more along.
So, as you know, President Baraka, there's the last warning. So you either deliver or here's your role.
Everybody's working. In fact, for Suta by they're all working hard.
Maybe the president has given them the yellow card.
Because I wasn't very much.
Let me bring you back to the campaign and West Coast and CD. Earlier, you did highlight how West Coast region's population is growing, and we know from records that a greater chunk of that population is women and young people. Yeah. Where do they factor in your manifesto? Women, how will a CD-led Brikama Area Council address challenges that women are facing? What plans do you have for women and for young people, especially in the area of job creation and even acquisition of skills as well?
Now, CD has one of the, I think it's the number 4 priority for CD is women and youth development. Obviously, CD understands that 55% of the population of West Coast region are women and 65% are young people. For women, CD will give support and empower those women who work in gardens by ensuring that they get fertilizers, they get seeds, but also their gardens are protected from animal encroachment, but also providing markets for their produce, and also by building the roads by extension, giving them access to the markets that they need to sell their produce. But also CD is also working on establishing a revolving fund called the Women's Fund, so that women who are, because not all women are in horticulture, those who are entrepreneurs, what they need is capital. I
hope it's not the usual osusu that we see.
No, this is not osusu. This is more sophisticated than the osusu. What they want, what CD wants to do is to make sure that this fund is created, that women who don't want to go into horticulture, they want to be entrepreneurs and do business, they can come and get money interest-free and go and do their business and come and pay, and the funds will be revolving. Now, for young people, obviously, what we need to do is to create jobs for young people. But not only create jobs, but also is to develop their skills in sports. And CD has plans for that. CD wants to ensure that we build the right technical training centers in West Coast region in collaboration with the Ministry of Higher Education, Science, Research and Technology to build skill centers for young people, to teach them skills. When they are qualified, they can now be helped to get into the job market, either both in the public sector but also in the private sector. So these are things that CD is doing, and CD also wants to ensure that we build enough youth development centers. Today, what the Gambia lacks is what they call youth spaces, where young people can go and develop their skills in basketball, in tennis, in volleyball, in football. And we are going to see, land will be challenging though to get the space. Once the space is available, we'll ensure that we provide the spaces where young people can go and develop their skills, so that Gambia moves away from exporting, being the biggest exporter of irregular migrants, to being the biggest exporter of sports personnel across the world. But also remember, I discussed this with CD a couple of days ago, that most of the football teams in West Coast region, they struggle to compete in the Newetans. And I told CD that perhaps we should work with partners to create what they call a Newetan fund, to put some money into it, so that football teams that are, before Newetan starts, football teams are engaged, and we give them some support to prepare them for the Newetans.
Maybe even into the national leagues.
With the national league, because we want Brikama to be the home of Gambian sports. We want Brikama to be, if we have 100 sportsmen at the professional level, we want at least 80 of them to come from West Coast region, because West Coast region is has a huge potential. So many young people, very talented, but they only need support for them to succeed.
Well, viewers, our guest is Dr. Ismael Assise. If you want to be part of the program, you can call 5050505. 5050505. That's the number to call to be just to share your thoughts and views regarding CDC's bid to be the next chairman of Brikama Area Council. Doctor, comment on Kachara demanding regarding split menketa in West Coast, especially NPP. Ngaja saying Ahmad Gite Melanko Abenung NPP, apparently Abe Lokan as independent, UDP Molon de Jele, Ngaja not alliance or Fana Molon de Jele. Nimbal affect la nyadele.
I think affect la comme nga foy nyame ngolon ko West Coast region mall elafta nyaton kala mialon ko asina ela dinkira falinga do ko ke and you will just see it.
So doctor, I understand there's a caller on the line. Hello caller, what's your name and where are you calling us from?
Abdullah Kuyade Talending.
Abdullah Kuyade Talending. Abdullah.
Yeah, that's what Sidi Ninka said na daro.
Amanga Sidi Dr. Lebe jang.
Ismael Sidi.
Ha.
Mudmal Ismail Alonko MPP is the right party before the presidential election of now.
Okay, abaraka bake.
That's how we have.
Okay, abaraka bake Abdullah Kuyate Talending.
Goyali.
Okay, bunte mala yalo ko NPP le the right party before the presidential election.
Well, ko nga foy nyame wolon ko berimbe campaign wala. Ngala hido le di. Ko mbanyinin kanne bare gambe dingol lebe carte di la molla.
Sembo batol.
Abe wolle bolo. Nga ferol mil soto. Ning ala nata ke mantal mang presida ya soto. Ndesilo fero kan. Ming winta mbe kafula kane nga mdima banko do ko wala. Wo benta akanyanta presida ngo bela finansita agambe ngol be kumanda ko alnande manga banko do ko. Kafuta ka wala nyambe banko do ko labi. So wo do ko nimba kan momo mala fi kana ka do ko ke o moyta la hajote ntol ba kanne nga gambere do ko ka
sa nga muru nang split nying.
No what NPP affect la MPP dingo hay sabe NPP la nsi wo foye MPP dingo wo hani sabe NPP la wolte NPP jam fala muk ila yo medi
Bodol bije botaje nyamen.
No, kana wori wala along madu fakarte fay.
Of course.
Amadu fakarte fay. MPP dingol wolte NPP jam fala. And alliance so far do ko minke nyin kate fay kono. Nyin election be minate alliance so far do ko minke coalition do ko minke on the 20th Majalale. Ko nga fo nyame.
What is at stake for NPP in this local election? It seems, I mean, you are deploying everything on the ground.
It's an important election. It's an important election because it will lay the groundwork for the presidential elections in 2026. I mean, obviously, we want development in these councils and in these municipalities. Therefore, we need people who can comply and work with the government to bring development to the people.
CA would still be with NPP in 2026.
Well, our alliance.
It would lay the
no, he said what is at stake for NPP.
Yeah. Yes, I know.
Exactly.
But for CA as well, our alliance, our coalition was based on the 2023 local government elections.
Okay.
When these are over, CA will sit and reassess the relationship and reassess the alliance and now make a decision what to do next.
Okay, so this is a follow-up to Aliu's split question. Earlier you did mention that CD has the merits to be able to offer the services that the people of West Coast needs. But if you look at his opponents, Sane, Dabo, Jite, they're all equally competent. Are you confident?
Well, CD is more competent than all these people.
What makes him stand out?
Because if you look at CD's track record, he has at least proven to build something from zero to today what it is, employing a lot of Gambians, providing solutions for the people. They don't have that track record. I haven't seen it. And if you listen to CD, when I've listened to all these candidates speak, CD seems to be the one who understands the problems most and also has the right solutions.
I don't know Sane, but we know, I mean, Dabo has been very much involved in the struggle to end dictatorship. GT as well, and even
involving in a struggle and running a council are two different things. You can struggle until 100 years.
But CD was as well.
No, but CD was struggling, but CD was building things from zero. CD was working with communities. CD was building things from zero.
I understand there's another caller on the line.
But all these guys haven't seen what they built.
Exactly. Hello, caller. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, the name is okay. I'm calling from because I'm interested in the program right now.
Can you speak a bit louder?
Yes.
Yeah, what I mean, I'm calling from Brikama. The name is okay, but
okay.
I want to have a question from Dr. Cisse.
Okay.
The question is, what NPP are they implementing for us? Because since NPP come now, Gambia, doctors destroy health, lawyers destroy justice, religion destroy morals, bank destroy economy, university destroy education. It's there where the nation is today. So what are they doing? always corruption. When there is some corruption, there is no justice. When there is no justice, there will be no peace. So what are they implementing for us right now? We are seeing it. Even the societal, look at it last time. They say societal. When a societal does not implement the law, no one is going to do it. So law has to be compelled. A country without a religion, country can go. But a country without a law, the country cannot go.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. That caller from Bekam is talking about
people have to understand. People have to understand one thing. The way a country works, I think most Gambians have to understand it. You see, when a problem happens in 2023, the seeds of those problems were planted 10, 15 years. That's how development works. Now, any progress, most in development work, thinking, most of the progress you see in 2023, the seeds were planted almost. That is called planning. That is why today, if Gambia wants to change the dynamics in 2035, that planning has to start now. So if, for example, the education system, with the mass failure in WAS, you cannot blame the current government for those failures. Because the previous government, because that started 10, 15 years ago in terms of education policy. Things went wrong because you see, it starts from the failure starts from when they went to grade 1. That is where the failure starts. That's how education is long term, for example.
But Doc, that's where leadership comes in. Exactly. When you come and find things are wrong, it is your responsibility as a leader to make it right.
But that is what this
government
is doing now.
You cannot, to be honest, you cannot blame the previous government.
No, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is that what this government is doing now, people will only reap the benefits in the next couple of years, obviously, because that's how it works. Now, most of the challenges we are facing today, these are perennial challenges. These have been here with electricity. The problems, in fact, now it is solved. Now, at least, it's better than the way it used to be before. So what I'm saying is that people need to be patient and understand that development is not instant coffee. Development takes time. Now, the problems we are facing today, yes, there are challenges. Anybody who tells you we are not facing challenges in this country, then that person doesn't sleep and wake up in this country. There are challenges. But we are working hard to mitigate these challenges for Gambians. They are not the only challenges. See, the challenges are also twofold. Not only are we trying to solve today's complex problems, we are also trying to build a country for the future, so that when the next generation comes, they will not face the same problems that we are facing. And these are serious challenges. And remember, 3 things happen within this context. A transition which was very challenging, a war in Ukraine which shoot energy prices up and put inflation up the roof, but also a COVID-19 which created serious bottlenecks for supply chains, creating problems and inflation across the world. So every country today in the world, from Senegal to Malaysia, from Singapore to Rwanda, every country is challenging, is facing challenges, and Gambia is not an exception. We have to, that is why when President Barrow called every Gambian to come and support and deal with these problems, we said yes, we are coming, because Gambia needs the support of everyone.
These problems you're highlighting, these are global challenges. We agree. But have we really had any good recovery plans, to get out of these situations? For example, the COVID, it came, almost all countries, everybody's affected by COVID. We're still having to deal with its impact, economically and even socially. Have we had any recovery plans? This is the question.
Well, I think mitigation measures were taken. Support was given to communities, to people, to families who are struggling with COVID-19. And remember also, to get a good recovery plan, you need the resources. And Gambia, we are a resource-strapped country. The government, there are fiscal policies that were done and monetary policies to make sure that at least the economy is balanced. And look at Gambia today. If you look at the economy, Gambia is growing by 4% at least next year. We are growing. The economy is growing. It has also grown. COVID-19 put our economy down, but now it is growing. So these are challenges, like I said, and every country is facing these challenges. And I believe, and I'm confident that the government is doing its utmost best to make sure that they mitigate these challenges for Gambians.
It appears we're running out of time, Doctor, but finally, your message to the voters in West Coast region, in summer, in English and Mandinka, before we wrap up the program.
For them to come out and vote, it's been very disappointing that the voter turnout has been very low in the past 2 elections, and this is a very important election. In fact, for me, it's the most important than the presidential elections. So I urge all West Coast citizens to come out and vote peacefully and avoid confrontation and avoid hate speeches, and make sure they come out to vote for their candidate and go back and wait for the results to be read. Konka fanya men dronko kate fayo sitale me mobe dan la me West Coast region ye finti Cairo kono karte fay Cairo kono ye mono so kono Cairo kono ye si ye results ol bato mo kana moneng mo kana sonka mo kana kuke mialon ko bi abe Cairo bayla Gambia bankon kanne volontaire message pour
thank you so much Dr. Ismail Cisse, leader of CA which is part of the NPP-led alliance. He was here on behalf of Team CD Cisse, who is contesting on the NPP for the Brikama Area Council chairmanship. Thank you so much, Doctor, for coming on the countdown. And Eso, it was good to have you on the program.
Indeed, we look forward to the next edition.
We look forward to the next edition on Tuesday. We will try to get another candidate from West Coast. Maybe we will try to reach out to Ahmed Jite and Yankuba Dabo and even Jena Baba of the People's Progressive Party to have them, on this platform to discuss about their plans for Brikama Area Council. Well, viewers, with that we bring an end to today's countdown. Like I said, join us next Tuesday. But just to remind you once again, the body of Aluke Jame has finally arrived in the country, and burial will take place tomorrow at his home village of Badibu Ilyasa at 2 p.m. On behalf of everyone here at QTV, we thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.